can just tell from my body right now versus what it was. Like I feel younger and healthier now at 40 than I ever did in my entire life. And there's a lot to be said about that. Like to be able to actually like bend down and like put my shoes on and tie them without having to brace myself against even getting off the couch was a chore.
Welcome to How I Lost It, where we learn the stories behind some of the greatest weight loss successes. I'm Marley Ficalora, and we will be interviewing Jeffrey Koettel, a man from Iowa that lost almost 300 pounds. This episode is sponsored by the Produce Section Challenge weekly meal plans. You can sign up at producesectionchallenge.com. You can also learn more about Jeffrey on his blog, The Incredible Shrinking Bearded Man. And now for the interview with Jeffrey.
Awesome. So here you go, guys. We've got Jeffrey Koettel here to tell us his story about how he lost almost 300 pounds on a plant-based diet. I think that is so impressive. So the first thing I want you to do is just kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little about yourself.
I'm Jeffrey Koettel. I'm 40 years old. I hit my heaviest weight at age 20 at about 515. The only way I was actually able to weigh myself was getting on the laundry scale at the hospital, actually. And I know I got bigger after that. So it was quite the journey getting there, I guess. You know, I mean, it was pretty intense eating, you know, but I got a 10-year-old daughter now, and I'm a divorced dad. I got divorced in about 2010, and I do want to state, though, I don't know if it was actually miscommunicated, but I was actually about 300 pounds when I went plant-based.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like that last 70 pounds went off like within 6 months, you know, after completely going plant-based. And that was even with cheating once in a while too, you know?
Yeah. Well, the main part about it is that you were able to lose all of that weight, which is so impressive, and that you've been able to maintain it after, because that's something that's so important as well. You know, on this podcast, How I Lost It, we talk about how people lost their weight, but it's also important about how they maintain that weight after they've lost it. So the plant-based diet, you know, has had implications on that as well. But I think it's important to learn about how you lost it, no matter what diet you're on. I think people are just really searching for answers, what works and what doesn't work. And since you were in a situation where you really wanted to make that happen. So one thing I want to talk about really quickly, and I think that's so important, is how did you get in that situation in the first place? How did you gain the weight? And what were you eating? And was it like family behavior? Was it habits? What kind of got you in the place that you knew you wanted to change?
Oh, my parents knew nothing about nutrition whatsoever. First of all, it was pretty much fried battered meat with like big spoonfuls of Crisco in it, and maybe like a can or two of vegetables that was like warmed up on the stovetop, and it was always some kind of potato with some kind of butter or oil or any cheese all over it. You know, it was. You know, the standard American diet that it's just killing everybody. It's I'm a big McDougall follower, and you know he's always calling it food poisoning, and it's totally true. You know, I mean everybody out there, not everybody, but most of the population is just, you know, I mean, they don't really understand what it's doing to their health and their families and their finances. And it's just, there's so much to it. And I don't know, like I grew up in a very, I don't know, kind of like destructive household too. It wasn't very positive. So I turned to food for my comfort, I suppose, you know, and they just had endless amounts of food in there that was just bad. Like, you know, those big ring bolognas, those big cut off sections about an inch and a half thick, make big old, you know, Velveeta cheese bologna sandwiches all the time. Yeah. And, you know, and it got to the point where after when I hit about 20 and, you know, becoming an adult, and girls weren't noticing me, and it kind of was like a vanity thing for a while. And, you know, and just the more weight I lost, the better I felt, and the more I got interested in it. And then when, because I'm an older guy, so like when the internet got pretty big, like dial up and all stuff, that I started, reading about weight loss and how to, and then I tried about every diet under the sun until, I even did keto for a while and paleo. And I don't know if you ever heard of the book Sugar Busters ever.
I actually haven't heard of that, but I'll definitely check it out.
But this is like an old book. I'm guessing probably about 2003. They actually talked about the refined foods and the refined flours, the refined sugars, and that was kind of like way back, OG kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it really worked, and that's what got me down to about 300 pounds. Actually, it was kind of just cutting out the refined sugars, eating more unprocessed stuff. Even then, and then I went up and down. I got married. I had a kid. I got divorced. I got back up to like 400 pounds. I got into a pretty deep depression going from seeing my kid for like every day to like 8 days a month. And there was actually one day when I was about 400 pounds, I was actually smoking about a carton a week of cigarettes too on top of that. And I've been nicotine free for at least a good year. And I was vaping for 2 years before that. But, it's like my daughter, she was about 3 and running around the park, and I couldn't keep up with her no more and short of breath. And I decided it was time.
Yeah, I think that's so amazing that you were able to beat that habit as well, because I think that's one of the most important things to talk about is habits, right? Eating habits, smoking, drinking, caffeine. There's so many of these habits that we develop through the course of our life. And I think that's why I wanted to ask that question is how did you gain it? Is because how did you form that habit? What caused you to put you in a position where you woke up one day and you said, enough is enough. I need to make a change for myself and my health. And a lot of people don't even come to that realization. So the fact that you did and you're able to is really, truly amazing. And so I want to talk about that really quickly is what was that moment? What was the aha moment? What was the epiphany? What told you, and I'm not even just talking about going plant-based, just in general, what told you when you got to that heaviest weight of yours that you need to make a change?
I think a lot of it's just you get sick and tired of being sick and tired all the time. It's like, you either got to, I don't know if you're a big Shawshank Redemption fan. I'm a big movie fan, as you can tell. Old Red in that movie says, get busy living or get busy dying, and that's pretty much what it all boiled down to is like, I was 20 and I figured I can either start living or because it was kind of like a slow form of suicide when you really think about it, I mean, you don't get to be 500 pounds without hating yourself. And I always state this on my page a lot, the Incredible Shrinking Bearded Man, by the way, that you have to take care of your mental health as well as your physical health as well. And you have to kind of work at both of them at the same time. I'm a firm believer in that. Because if you don't learn to love yourself, you're not going to treat your body good. And the food that you put in your system is fuel, I mean, like eating plants is like jet fuel, and all that other stuff's just diesel fuel, you know what I mean? Like you're not going to run clean. I mean, I can literally eat as much as I want now going plant-based and lots of rice and beans, potatoes, oatmeal, fruits, veggies, as much as I want. Intuitive eating, just I eat when my body tells me to. But I also do intermittent fasting as well, which I don't know if you're a proponent of that or not.
Yeah, I do know a decent amount about intermittent fasting, and I've seen there's definitely some benefits to it. I think in general with intermittent fasting, I think what's important is just being aware of how much you're supposed to eat, because it's also a habitual thing. We eat 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's been drilled.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's been drilled into our heads from corporations and society. And I think that it's important to think about that. Do we actually need to eat 3 times a day? And should we actually eat at those 3 specific times, breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And I think that is an important thing to think about. I think there is value to intermittent fasting. And I think anytime you go against the status quo and you start to question your eating habits, I think you're going to put yourself in a better position.
Oh, yeah. Everybody I talk to about how I eat, I get a lot of people asking, how'd you lose all the weight? I'm always game to talk about it. And first of all, I'm like, I don't do meat. And they're like, oh man, how am I going to do that? And it's like, I don't add any oil, salt, or sugar to my diet, to my food usually too. Oh, I couldn't do that either. And this and that and everything. But then they're like also the ones that are like, especially these guys I work with, they're like rushing to the bathroom every 2 hours because they're constipated and they, their gut's a mess. And I just keep trying to tell them like, just add some beans to your diet, add some greens, do something. Like I'm a proponent of like everybody, like every little good decision that you make is a step in the right direction. And I used to beat myself up all the time with this whole all or nothing mentality. And that's one thing that I really needed to get out of is like, oh, well, I messed up this day. So I got to start, this day's screwed. So I can go ahead and just eat what I want and I'll just do it tomorrow. And it just keeps, it's just a downward spiral of, like just bad habits. And just cause like I quit drinking pop like 5 years ago. And then like the next year it was like, trying to cut out caffeine. And then the next year, just kind of like small goals. Cause this didn't happen overnight for me whatsoever. It's taken a good 20 years to get to where I'm at now. But I've been actually following a lot of Dr. Doug Lisle. Do you know Doug
Yeah,
Lisle,
yeah.
right? Yeah, his Beat Your Genes podcast is a lot of interesting stuff. He actually talks a lot about the feast and famine thing, how like we were like biologically designed to, have the feasting and then the famine. And I think that's why I believe intermittent fasting is so wonderful for weight loss and for health and, get your gut microbiome all in check and, get everything, get that proper, real good fuel in your system, and like you're unstoppable afterwards. I don't think anybody really understands that, and that's what's frustrating the most is like a lot of these diseases, a lot of these lifestyle diseases. They could go away, just eat plants and eat clean and, or even do like mostly clean, somewhat clean, anything.
Yeah. I want to talk about one thing you said that I think is so important. And that's what you said about gradual changes and not trying to be perfect. Because I think we set these expectations no matter what diet you do. If you do keto, if you do plant-based diet, if you do, a vegan diet, it doesn't matter what diet you choose, paleo, there's so many diets these days. But the most important thing is that you push yourself to eating better every single day, even if it's just a small step forward. You reduce the amount of sugar, you stop drinking soda, you stop drinking, alcohol. One of those steps is going to be a big step forward in your health and your life. And so trying to chase this perfection. So if it is a plant-based diet, you try to be perfectly perfect. It can be hard on yourself because you beat yourself up if you aren't, exceeding your expectations. And I think that can cause the whole program and the whole goal to be overlooked, and then you don't achieve those results you want. So that's very important that you talked about. I always talk about that as well. Perfection. We nothing in life is perfect, and if it is, make sure you question it because it just is not there.
Yeah, Doug Lisle talks a lot about the inner critic, and it's so true because like we are the hardest person on ourselves. We can, our coworkers, our family, our friends, our loved ones, they don't deal with us like we do in our heads. And you gotta beef up that game too. You have to. It's just it all boils down to just stop treating yourself so bad and just start treating yourself better and start loving yourself a little more. And and it all like, and I always say this too, like don't focus on weight loss, focus on health, and then everything else is like a side effect, like the better complexion and the like. I actually have a collarbone right here that I've never seen in my life. I mean, and even like, wrist bones and stuff. Like I've never like, and I actually just went through the skin removal consultation last October, this past October. And I know like I would definitely be even leaner if I actually had the surgery, but they're wanting like $20,000, and it's like no way in heck I can do it. So, but I mean, but even like where I'm at now, if I got some extra skin, like I'm so much better off now. I mean, and my kid's like a big dancer. She's on the competition dance team now, and she's actually paying attention to nutrition and asking me about what's healthy. And she's all about getting, in shape. And, I've had some people give me some flack in the past about being a little more preachy with my child about nutrition and stuff like that. And I think that's a very interesting thing for, especially when you're a parent and you're doing this, because like I don't try to force it on her, but I'm trying to encourage better choices. But of course, like with children, if you tell them that they can't do it, they're going to want to do it worse, so it's a very slippery slope to go down with when it comes to children, but it's like I said, especially with body image issues, and I don't want to stress too much about like calorie counting or anything like that, or I'm just trying to teach you the difference between real food and junk food, pretty much.
Yeah. So let's talk really quickly about your journey to losing the weight. So you told us already that there was multiple different diets that you had tried. Can you go over some of them? What was the first one you tried, and what were some of the results when you started them?
Oh heck, I remember when I was in grade school reading my mom's Richard Simmons book that she had, trying to even follow that. I mean, I did the Sugar Busters thing. I did Atkins. I did keto. I did paleo. I think I even tried a little bit of like the South Beach thing for a little bit. And I think like anything that I don't know, like they worked short term, of course. They didn't ever address the issue. I think any diet that tells you that you have to restrict portions, you have to count things, you're obviously eating the wrong kind of food. But a lot of them, like I even did Weight Watchers for a while. I had success with that for a while. But, I mean, nobody really ever talked about nutrition ever, though. And all these diets, there was never anything really about nutrition. It was just all about, okay, well, this is some kind of crazy little restrictive thing you got to do in order to, you know, I guess diet and lifestyle pretty much is that to a point. I mean, even plant based is restrictive to a point, but I mean, like I always felt hungry, and they never lasted hardly long at all because they were always just it was just short term results, and I mean nothing was like sustainable long term at all. And like all I did was I just felt hungry and miserable every day. you know? And that's why diets don't work though. I mean, and everybody's looking for that magic pill. Like I even went through the uh, uh, the consultation for lap band surgery in 2011 when I was 400 pounds before I decided just to I needed to get off my butt and finally do something. And at the consultation, they're like, "Well, you're still gonna have to change your diet. You're gonna have to do this. You're gonna have to exercise." And it's like, why? What's even the point of me doing the surgery anymore? Like why? If I got to do that all on my own, why do I need that tool? And that's what they said. It's just a tool. It's you still have to change your lifestyle. So I figured that was an easier route to get, an easier route to go. And it was finally until I stumbled across the Forks Over Knives movie where it was like the light bulb went off in my head. And it was like 6 months after that, I rewatched it because, of course, I didn't want to, like, oh man, I got to give up meat and cheese and all that stuff. Like, yeah, that ain't going to happen. But now it's like it's been the best thing I've ever done for myself. And I think it's could be the best thing for anybody if they do it. And I actually told myself all the month of March or of December, I'm going to go plant based. I'm going to go 100% plant based just to try it out. And I did. And I lost like 30 pounds my first month because I was just so bloated. My gut, my guts and everything were just you never understand how sick and diseased and ill you are until you finally clean up your diet and you realize like I don't have sinus issues. I don't get sick anymore. Like acid reflux is gone. Like inflammation. Like I used to be on prescription anti-inflammatories for 15 years. I don't even take ibuprofen anymore at all. Like I don't like I work 10-hour factory shifts at a door factory here in Iowa, and I can do 10 hours of hard physical manual labor and not even have to take an ibuprofen when I get off work at 40 years old. That right there is a testament to how great and amazing plant-based eating really is because like you are literally eating your medicine. It's great. Like and just like everybody around me now, especially since I really cleaned it up in the last like 6 months or so, like and I've had failures, like vegan cheats, like they're always talking about how Oreos are vegan.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no, there's still compassion for animals, but I can eat some junk food, and I always pay for it the next day. My stomach hates me the next day. Have you, have you been pretty clean for how long now? Like for a couple of years now?
Yeah.
Is that?
So just a really quick background on me. I grew up vegetarian, so I grew up not eating any meat, fish. So
Oh, nice.
I've never tried either of those. And then I've been fully whole food, plant based, not eating any processed food since the day I stepped in the grocery store around 14 months ago.
Yeah, yeah. See, and that's amazing. Like I was watching your videos earlier, and it's great what you're doing. I love it. Like that's what I mean. The world needs more of this. You know, positive. Not only helping out animals and the environment, but also ourselves. Like being actual. It's a human condition to a point. Like like I mean, what is it like? They're even saying there's like. Hardening of the arteries in like 10-year-olds already for a lot of them. I mean, it's like our youth is getting destroyed on top of our own health, and what we're feeding our kids and ourselves. It's just impacting so much, and medical care costs, and it's just such a way more sustainable way of living.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of preaching to the choir as far as you go.
Yeah, but I think it's important coming from you, and I think it's so important for others to hear your story because they can learn. Because a lot of people are in your situation, and you're right. Childhood obesity and childhood diabetes and so many diseases are happening at a younger age than ever before, and that makes it really hard. It makes it really hard to overcome that, and these are challenges these kids will suffer for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and I was one of the obese children, the unhealthy obese children back then too. Like I started having weight issues by the time I was like 7 years old, because I mean that's just how we ate, and it was down home cooking, everything greasy and fried and everything else, special occasions, big up, big old birthday cake, I mean it's just and not only that though, we live in an environment that's set up for failure. Everywhere you turn your head, there's junk food. You go to Menards to buy a thing of nails or something like that, and go to check out. There's everything there. Everywhere you turn your head, and we need to vote with our dollars though, as far as like what we actually want. As far as like quality wise and everything goes, and like the more we stop buying that junk, the less they're going to make. But I mean, a lot of the times it seems kind of hopeless, but I mean, I get messages several times on my page here and there, like just thanking me for inspiration and like, asking me all sorts of questions. And it's great. Like, and I started that page like 5 years ago, just to like if I could help one person out, like it's worth me doing it, and I got like 2,100 followers now, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but I mean, that's a lot of lives impacted. And I love it. Like, I love actually helping people out and, and getting them on the right track and just teaching them that like, hey, like some everyday Joe that had major health, or like I guess I never really had like diagnosed major health issues, but I can just tell from my body right now versus what it was. Like I feel younger and healthier now at 40 than I ever did in my entire life, and there's a lot to be said about that. Like to be able to actually like bend down and like put my shoes on and tie them without having to brace myself against. Even getting off the couch was a chore back in the day. Like even getting out of bed or like trying to like wipe my butt on the toilet.
Yeah.
It's just so. It's. I mean, like I see very morbidly obese people, and it just breaks my heart because I know how hard it is to get out of that funk. I mean, you're miserable with your life, so you eat for comfort, but that comfort food's making you even more miserable, so you eat more of that in order to comfort yourself, or even turn to drugs or alcohol or tobacco or anything. And it's like until you kind of like pull yourself out of the muck, so to speak, and nobody's gonna do it but you.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people look to everybody else for the answers, and the answer is like right here. You got to get that will to want to change and to want to like just do it and just, you know, I mean, there's like underneath everybody, regardless of what size of shell you got, there's a lean, skinny person in there that's just crying to come out. But all you need to do is just like eat plants and get
And I
active.
think that's so great that you talked about you have to be wanting to do this yourself before it's going to happen, because there's a million diets, there's a million different tricks out there, there's even supplements that'll make you lose weight. But at the end of the day, until you commit to it, until you decide, you look in the mirror and you say, okay, I'm going to make this change for myself, I'm going to make this change for my family, I'm going to do this, that is when it's going to happen. I think that's what happened with you, is you had that realization, epiphany, that you were going to change and turn your health around, and you did. You look wonderful, man. I got to tell you, you look great. You look happy. You got that big old beard, which I know is your trademark. But at the end of the day, you know, and it may just seem like, you know, I lost all this weight, but what you did is in a way heroic, because very, very, very hard. There are so many outside obstacles stopping us or limiting us or prohibiting us from getting you know, healthy. And like you said, at the hardware store, you get nails, and down below there, processed food. It's candies, it's Reese's Pieces, and Skittles, and all these things that are not good for you. They're processed, refined sugars, and junk food. And I always said that. I always understood convenience stores, right? You go to a convenience store, you go to a gas station, and there's not an ounce of real food. You can't find a banana or an apple at a gas station. What you find is the Snickers, you find cakes, you find processed refined foods all over there. Every single thing is 500, 600, 700 calories. It's all sugar and wheat and all these things that are so bad and so damaging for you. And yet it's a convenience store, and there's nothing convenient about, as you know, being that weight or being sick or having to take all these medications. So that's one of the things that blew my mind. So I'm glad that you were aware of that as well when you're at the store. So let's talk about one other thing really quickly. I think once you lost the weight, you switched this plant-based diet. It helped you lose an extra 30 so odd pounds, and you're still on a plant-based diet. So let's talk about what you eat now every day to maintain your health and maintain your weight, because maintaining after you lose is also just as important.
Yeah, I mean, I got down to about 219 at my lightest, which I don't know. It's kind of weird because like I'm kind of like I think we're actually biologically adapted to just put on weight. It's like probably like 8 degrees outside right now where I live, so it's you know like I think I'm just putting on some winter weight. You know what I mean? But all in all though, yeah, like I've been able to. You know, I've had some ups and downs, and a lot of it for me is like I do weigh myself quite a bit just to kind of like make sure I'm not getting too, because sometimes I get a little lax with myself and I just kind of like just eat what I want as far as like, you know, plant foods. But like on the weekends, I could plow down probably 4,000 or 5,000 calories of food. But then also I do these like 2 3 day fasts once in a while too. So I kind of look at that as balance a little bit. But like I eat a lot of potatoes. I use the potato express bag. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a cloth bag. You just like wet them and put them in the microwave for like 10
Oh, I
minutes.
don't know.
And you get a perfectly baked. Oh, it's great. You can get like like 4 bags of those on Amazon for like $20, and like perfectly microwave potatoes in like 10 minutes. And I'm not endorsing them either. I'm just saying it's very. But I do like quinoa in the rice cooker a lot. I do long grain brown rice. I always at my local Walmart they got no salt added beans and tomatoes for like 58 cents a can. I'm a very lazy cook. Like I'm gone from home 12 hours a day for work a lot of times. So like when I get home, I want to like, you know, I want to like cook my food real quick. I want to get my feet up. And I go to the gym now too, and I also mow like 5 yards through the summer, you know, push mowing and stuff. So I'm a pretty active guy. Like not, you know, not so much this year, but so I mean, I don't think, but I think like, you know, like if somebody wants to do it just for weight loss, like diet's like 85% of it, and exercise is like about 15. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Yeah,
I'm a firm believer.
I think that from all the messages I get and just from my personal experience, I would say it's 85 to 90% diet, you know, 10 to 15% to working out. And I think there's a lot of benefits to working out or beyond weight loss.
Yeah.
But for weight loss, I think really it comes down to diet. It's really hard to overcome diet. If you're not eating the real food, if you're not eating the right food, then, I mean, a perfect example is go on a treadmill, run for an hour, look down and see how many calories you burn. and then look at the Snickers, and
150.
you didn't even burn half that Snickers. And I think that's one way to think about it. But the most important thing, and I'm sure you agree, is eating real food. Once you eat real food, once you figure that part out, the weight loss comes pretty quickly. And then it's just really about working out is great for your mental health. It's great for building muscle. It's great for your heart, and it's great for so many other things.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, working out is important, but definitely diet is the essential key to losing weight. And I mean,
And I try to follow the calorie density chart, and I try to stick to foods under 600 calories a pound. I found that's like kind of like my sweet spot, like a lot of beans. Like I can eat as much like unlimited beans, rice, potatoes, oatmeal, fruits, veggies, and like my stomach literally sometimes I'll eat so much of the real food that like I'm like literally have that little top a food baby, you know, what I'm talking about. But like, you know, the next day it's gone, you know, and I feel satiated and I'll do my 20-hour fast afterwards and I'm good. But I actually just here in December I bought a NutriBullet or a Nutri Ninja. I've been doing a lot of like flaxseed and chia seed and like peanut butter powder and like kale and oats and berries and my like you know like making smoothies like that. I'm trying to do the Gregor Daily Dozen as much as I can, and that Nutri Ninja has been a completely amazing thing to help get in the you know the berries and the you know the flax seeds and stuff. And I've noticed just from getting that thing, just like the nutrient overload. I actually tracked all my stuff on MyFitnessPal a while ago to see how much fiber I was getting. I'm getting like 120 grams of dietary fiber a day at least.
Well, the good thing about fiber is I always say this is the most important thing. Everyone always talks about plant-based diets and you have to go to the bathroom a lot. But think about it. Do you really want your food that you eat to stay inside of you? Because that's not conducive of weight loss. If you want to lose weight, you want to be skinny, you want to be toned, you got to have the food that you put in come out. So going to the bathroom system is running and it's working well. So eating all that fiber, like you said, that is why weight loss is so conducive of a plant-based diet, a whole food plant-based diet. When you're eating real food, real fruits, real vegetables, you talked about removing salt, oil, and sugar, SOS, right, as they call it, salt, oil, and sugar. And another thing I want to talk about really quickly about you said, I think so important, is calorie density. You mentioned calorie density. I want to talk about this. While you were losing those pounds, when you went from 500 pounds, were you starting to look into things like that? I know you did Weight Watchers, which uses smart points, which is essentially calorie density in a simplified terms. But were you aware of that at all?
I was always about a calorie in, calorie out kind of guy, actually, for the longest time. And now, definitely after educating myself a lot more, that you know calories are like 250 calories of candy bars way different than like 250 calories of like blueberries. You know what I mean? Your body will process that all so much differently than from what the processed. And that's and a lot of people really don't talk about the gut microbiome. And I've been listening to a lot of this stuff lately about like the good bacteria. I think our cells, like there's like for every like one cell there's like 20 little microorganisms that carry it or something like that. And the healthy plant foods and the starches is what the good bacteria actually feeds off of, and then the bad bacteria feeds off the junk food and like the sugar and stuff like that. And I've actually found too that after cutting out salt out of my diet, it has made such a big difference as far as like cravings, like because most of the time if I was eating salty foods, I wasn't craving the food, I was craving the salt. And that's very overlooked as well, I think, a lot of times. And it's just trial and error and doing things. But yeah, I mean, but for sure though, it's your whole body just absorbs all that nutrition. It's like nutrition overload, and it's just my body don't know what to do with the energy sometimes. I'm literally like bouncing off walls some days, just like, you know, like Cornholio from Beavis and Butthead. And it's great. I love it. Like the guys at work are always like, man, what are you on? And I'm just like I'm not eating anything because I'm fasting, and you know, it's like I'm just always like pumped full of energy, and they're just like, man, you're like annoying me because you're like a little toddler running around. It's great though. Like at 40 years old, like, and being 500 pounds at one time, and now like, you know, running circles around these like 25, 30-year olds. It's the power of plants. You know, it's being plant strong. It's just
Yeah,
great. There's no better feeling for me. There's like no better feeling in the world than like knowing that my body is like completely, utterly nourished and like getting the fuel it's finally needing. And like even my mental health has like dramatically improved now that it's my body's actually getting the vitamins and the nutrients and the macros and the micros. It was so desperately craving all those years, you know, and your body can bounce back. Like there's been so many studies about, you know, plant-based nutrition, like, you know, reversing even cancers and stuff. You know, and it's like, what other diet out there is going to do that for you?
I think
There's
it's great
not.
what you're saying, and I'm totally in agreement that it's amazing the energy. It's amazing the ability to be able to think clearer and have that mental. And I think one of the parts that allows you to have that mental clarity is that knowing that when you wake up, you're going to be able to get out of bed and spring up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I literally wake up, no caffeine, and I'm like ready to go. As soon as I get up, I do my little morning ritual, like brushing my teeth and stuff, and like, and that's literally like 3:30 in the morning most days to be at work by 5, and I drive 45 minutes to work every day, and like, you know, like it's like I said, I'm running circles around some of these 25-year-olds though, and it's nuts. And like before, like I would get fatigued. Like I just had to shovel like about a foot of snow when I got home last night, and like I wasn't even hardly winded when I got done after doing that for like 80 minutes.
I think that's
That
amazing.
was
That's amazing, man.
10
You've
years.
come so far. I think that's so impressive. And now that you're on, now you've gotten onto autopilot because you figured it out. You unlocked the success. And now you've
Yeah.
done a lot of research, which the science and the doctors and everything it backs it. The proof is out there. So it's just a question of, are you going to find it or not? And when you do, and it gives you that peace of mind knowing that what you're doing is truly the right thing, because there's so many diets, as you know from doing so many. There's so many fads. There's so many supplements and people trying to sell you things or sell you an idea or selling you a magic pill that's going to all of a sudden make you better. But at the end of the day, it comes down to you. It comes down to the choices that you make, and it comes down to forming better habits. And so the fact that you've done that is awesome.
And the most important thing though that I want to stress on this too is like I have tried and failed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and I am still trying and failing still to this day. There is nothing, there is no perfection here at all. Like I try my best to be perfection. Sometimes I don't work out. Like sometimes, like, you know, my daughter's over and she's got a can of Pringles or something like that. I can't stay out of it, you know. And I know that's like terrible potato dust with like oil all over it. I'm human, you know, like because like it's just highly concentrated, you know, calories that give us a rush just like any other drug would. And, you know, I'm an ex-junkie. Like it's like an ex-alcoholic going to a bar and trying to like drink water with all their their whiskey guzzling friends, you know, after they just kicked the habit 3 years ago, you know, from drinking. Like it's tough. Like everywhere you go, there's like even like going to a friend's house and they're like cooking meat or something like that in the house. It grosses me out anymore. Just that grease in the air, that smell of that, just that oil and all that, you know. But there's sometimes, like I said, I'm weak, you know. But I if I fail, you know, pat yourself off, get right back up, and get back on that horse because you know, I mean, I have nightmares about getting back up to 500 pounds again.
Yeah. I gotta say one thing that's really important. Like we talked about this already, the stress of perfection that can be such a hinder to someone's success, because as soon as you try to be perfect, you're setting yourself up for failure from the get-go, because it's just not possible. Perfection is not possible. So if you make a mistake, we're all human, like you said, you pick yourself back up. But the most important thing that you figured out, that others I hope will figure out as well from learning from your story and from watching my videos and your videos, is that when you figured out what's right and what's wrong, what you figured out what you should be eating, what you shouldn't be eating, and just having that knowledge to see those Pringles and say, you know what, that's not good for me. That's not what I should be eating. And even though you had some saying, you know what, I'm going to change. I made a mistake. I'm a human, but I'm going to bounce back and I'm going to live a better life. That is one of the most important things. Waking up and understanding what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad, and what's going to help you live a healthier life and what's going to hurt you tomorrow. And I think that that is an essential thing that you did that a lot of people still are trying to figure out. And that's why we do these videos every day. If everyone knew this, we wouldn't be here right now, would we?
But the best thing is though, is that stack of Pringles is like this now, whereas before it would have been like that. So that's progress, buddy. I'm telling you right now, that's progress.
Huge. So let's talk about something else that I think is so important is cooking. I think cooking, getting in the kitchen is one of the most important things you can do to lose weight. I want to talk to you, cook. Are you a big cook? Are you cooking these healthy plant-based foods, and has that helped you?
I am the laziest cook you'll ever meet in your life. And I actually, a lot of people give me crap about it. I eat almost the same exact thing every day. I switch it up on the weekends, but work days, it's always my meals consist of, there's always a heavy starch, like a rice or a quinoa or a potato. There's always some kind of green there, like a kale, a spinach, or some kind of cruciferous vegetable, kale and broccoli, something like that. And there's always a bean. That's like the consistency of my meal, and I just like everybody's always asking me on my page, like, what's the recipe? It's like, I don't really have a recipe. I just throw together food that looks good and I season it to taste. I get like a big thing that I put like garlic powder and like cumin and chili powder. Nutritional yeast is something I absolutely love. I've been getting really into like guacamole lately, like the holy guacamole, like 97% real, actual real, because I can't, like, I love avocado, but for me to buy it and try to like get it like perfect ripeness, it's like one day it's green and one day it's like black and you can't use it anymore.
Yeah.
But like stuff like that, just like, and I snack on pistachios. It takes a long time for me to get one pistachio. And that's a great snack food because like I can't just like shovel it in, like I'll just bake plain potatoes and just eat them like an apple. I mean, if I get hungry, that's the stuff I go to. It's quick. I always got fruit on hand. I always got like, I can always cook a potato within 10 minutes. Sometimes I keep cold potatoes in the fridge, and if I'm hungry, I'll just grab one and eat it like on the go, take a handful of cold potatoes with me. But it works though. But plus too is like my fasting completely and utterly like opens up my whole day to where I don't have to worry about packing a lunch for work. I don't have to worry about breakfast when I get up at 3:30 in the morning. I get up, I go, I work, I got plenty of energy throughout the whole day. I'm eating off, I'm feeding off of what I ate the night before pretty much. And then I get home from work and I just have this big feast. It's like I'm out hunting for my food all day. And when I get home from hunting, I'm eating my spoil, so to speak, and that works for me. I mean, everybody's got something that's going to work for them regardless, but it's like, I always stress, try something, just go out and do it. If you think keto is going to work for you, which it probably won't, but try it. I always called myself the human guinea pig for so long on my page because I even tried like a month-long potato cleanse and I only got like a week into it. I just couldn't do it. It was too much. It was just I wanted flavor, and I couldn't eat potatoes for a few weeks after that too. Like it was a love-hate relationship there for a little bit, but we're back on the mend now. We're good now.
I think something that you said that's so important. I get so many questions of what do you snack on, right? I get that question all the time, and so when you addressed that, I think that's very important for so many people watching now and that will listen to the podcast after. Is what do you snack on? So having fruits available, having cold potatoes or warm potatoes, and having apples and things that will fill you up at a very low amount of calories, but always having them on hand is very essential because there will be times when you have cravings and you need to curb those cravings, but you need to do that in the right kind of way by eating real whole foods. So always having fruit on hand. I do the same thing. I think that is essential. I think the potato thing is great. Sweet potatoes or potatoes. If you have a sweet tooth, you have a sweet potato. If you're just hungry, you can have a nice potato. But can you talk a little bit more about the snacks? I think that's so important and such a great tool for so many people.
Well, for me too, though, is I've changed my relationship with food a lot. I know a lot of people that would like try to go plant-based. They want to make all these like insanely complex meals. Keep it simple. If you keep it so like, so complex, you're not probably going to keep up with it because it's just gonna. I mean, that's a lot of work. Like I tried making, what was it, black bean burgers a while ago, and it was just such a mess. I mean, I was like, I just want to like throw this bag of potatoes in the microwave for 12 minutes and just eat it, and it tastes really good. And that's, yeah, I mean, just try to keep it as simple as you can, and just eat it in like the most the purest form you can. I mean, it's pretty simple, really. Like if I get hungry, I'll, like I said, I'll just go, get a. I mean, I always keep apples. Bananas are like the super cheapest, you know good filler for a snack. If you want something, if you're craving something sweet, just eat a banana or an apple. I mean, I know some people that have the sugar palate, they're going to have a harder time with that. But I mean, over time, your tastes do change. And like now, it's like if I eat the oily, salty, greasy stuff, I just taste it. And, you taste it in your mouth for like hours and hours and hours, and you get that like kind of like acid reflux afterwards and stuff. Yeah, I don't dig that at all. Like my body's telling me what foods are not good for me just by how I react to them anymore. And like I think it was like about a year ago, I had a meat cheat, and like my gut just oh my god, it was terrible. They call that McDougal's revenge. I don't know if you ever heard of
I
that.
haven't heard that, but now I know. So I think that's great what you just said,
Yeah.
keeping it simple. I think that is essential, right? So even all my meals that I prepare and I make and the meal plans and everywhere else, I keep it super simple. Lots of flavor, so you're not missing flavor because the
Oh
sauce is
yeah.
everything, but simple in terms of every ingredient is just one ingredient. Apple's an apple, banana's a banana. The furthest we'll go is spiralizing a vegetable. That's the fanciest we'll go. But other than that, you just got to keep it really, really simple. A meal of just potatoes and rice, that's totally fine. That's a fine meal.
It's
And
it's so good. Eat like a peasant. That's what I keep on saying. Eat like a peasant. You don't want to eat the diet of kings and queens. Eat like a peasant. Like eat like the like the slaves did out there. They got out, they did their work, and they ate really clean, and they were slim and trim, and and probably effortless, effortlessly too. And McDougal's always talking about how we're just adapted. We're starchivores. We're totally, we're like that's what we thrive
yeah,
on. And I never, and there's all that dogma about starches and carbs and stuff, and it just drives me nuts because like I mean, like I even go as far as having like whole grain pasta and stuff like that, like once a week. I don't do that too often. I do get like sprouted wheat bread every once in a while too, like a loaf of that a week or something. But it's not too crazy. Once in a while with my kid, I'll do the faux meats. I mean, it's like I would say I'm probably I'm 90 to 95% clean right now. Probably I need that little bit of that 5% for my
yeah.
sanity. I know. Like I want to achieve the 100%. I so strive for it so bad, but it's just I don't know. It's one of those things where like like if you can go 100%, that's great. Like I've done it for several months at a time, and but for me though, like we just talked about, trying to strive for that perfection started getting a little overwhelming for me. So I'm striving for 95%. That's pretty much, I mean, for optimal health, I think even like if I have 5% of my diets that's processed, I'm pretty sure that I've reversed enough damage to where that 5% is really not going to hurt me that much. And I'm at that point in my life where I can do that. But if somebody's like really sick and they're really struggling and they're with their weight or like high blood pressure or cardiovascular disease or like even circulation problems. My dad had a double bypass by 53, and he wasn't even a big guy, and he's about my size right now, but he liked he smoked 2 packs a day, and he loved his fried meat and his fried potatoes and everything. And at 53 he had that, and then he had pancreatitis the following year after that. And it's like 3 out of 4 of my grandparents died before 65. If there's and they always say that genetics are
what is it? What is it they say? The genetics are the bullet, but lifestyle's the trigger, or something like that. I think that's how they say it. And it's so true. Like, I got the genes to where I might be successful, susceptible to that, but I'm taking every step of, stride and step that I can to make sure that that's going to be avoided as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, it looks like you're doing great, man.
Because like my parents right now, there's my mom, she's 70 and she's just, never taking care of herself. I can see it firsthand. I don't want that for my kid when she gets older, and it's a really rough truth, but you got to do it for not only yourself, but for your friends, your family. You got to be a healthy, like a positive influence on them. Like I try to nudge people the right way, but I don't. Like when I started, I was kind of like really pushy about it a little bit, and I've kind of learned my ways about that's not the right method to go. But I was just passionate about it, and like the more I talk about it, the more I learn. You just get passionate, and then you learn about the animals, and you learn about the environment, and it all just comes together. And it's just like, man, we could just be doing so much better for not only ourselves, but the environment and all beings around us. Like we are such a destructive race, not race, but like a species nowadays. And all we're doing is destroying ourselves as long as as well as our planets. And there's no better way to make an impact than be plant strong. I mean, it's so easy and it's so simple, and it's like the best thing I've ever done for myself. And I want to encourage everybody to at least try it for at least like a week or two. If you're struggling with health and whatnot or weight, just try it. It's not going to hurt anything. You're gonna feel better after about 4 days. You're gonna feel better. Not, and it's so hard. Like every time I derail, I'll do like a 3-day water fast. That first day is like bad. I'm talking cold sweats and like I just literally go home and sleep like after work. Like I literally like sleep it off. It's literally like getting over the flu. And if anybody's attempting to go 100% clean or even pretty much clean, you're going to have a rough period.
Well,
your body's going
to. I think it's so great that you talk about being clean, right? The way you talk about this, and because it was such an addiction for you, and it was something that was hindering your success, your health, your happiness. It was becoming clean, and it was eating clean to come clean. And so I want to talk about that really quick. You say 90% to 95%, and I agree with that. I have wins and loss boards to show people the more wins you have than losses, you're going to get healthier. But the most important thing is don't harp on the losses, learn from them, get better, and try to put up more W's the next time. But getting 100% perfect board, that's amazing. That's great, but it's hard to do that. But I will say something about cravings, because when you do eat this way and you eat 100% clean, you only eat fruits, you only eat vegetables, what happens is your cravings change. Your taste buds change. I know this. I'm sure you know this. As you've been saying, now you enjoy the rice and the potatoes and the kale and all that sort of stuff. It's amazing for you. It's probably one of your favorite meals, right? And I love that as well. And getting there, though, you have to remove the other stuff, at least for a couple months, until you can get the change in your health, get the change in your taste buds. Because until then, because then you go on autopilot. Once you've made that change, you get 100% clean. It is easy. It is easy because you crave good food. You like the taste of good food, but to get there, it's hard when you're eating like a cake at night after eating a healthy, clean day.
Yeah. I can't remember where I heard it from, but somebody was comparing it to stubbing your toe every day on the same end table every day. And until you stop stubbing your toe will never heal ever. And it's so true though. When I heard that analogy, it's so true. But I look at like healthy choices, and I'm all about analogies. But like, say for instance, you get $10 a day, and you put $1 in a bank, and you spend the rest of that $9 on something. You're still saving $1 regardless. And over time, that dollar is going to add up over. But one day you might start saving $2 out of that 10, and then and then eventually you might start saying, what, I'm really enjoying saving money. I want to save $4 a day now. Over time, you will eventually get there, and you can't expect 100% perfection right off the bat. It's just everybody sets themselves. Every time anybody goes on a diet, it's the same way. I was the same way. Like I'm gonna take a before picture, and I'm gonna weigh myself, and I'm gonna I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be so strong and everything. And like the first day or two, like the first day I'm gung ho 100%. Next day I'm weak and I just fail. I go off program, and it's like, oh well, yeah, there's another failed attempt, and then I'll be like another like 3-4 months till I try again.
Well, that's
but the difference now is if I derail for a day or two, I'm back on like instantly. Like like I know exactly. I tell myself I'm either going to do a water fast or I'm going 100% clean. And after 2-3 days of that, or like a week of that, like it's like I never even had a problem again.
Well, that's kind of like the New Year's resolutions. I always talk about this as well, is that people put all this pressure on them January 1st to make this big change in their life. And that's not just weight loss and health goals, but all these different changes. If it's from cleaning your room every day, or doing the dishes, or to moving into a new place, you have these resolutions on January 1st, a specific day. That's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. And if isn't a systematic change inside of your body and a systematic change inside of your mind, telling yourself, hey, look, I'm going to change this way because I want to. I'm going to change this way because I need to. And then you make the change because you've already come to a decision in your mind that you're going to do this. And that is how you do it. And you've learned that. And that's why you're able to go back and forth and be able to have a cheat or have, a non-clean moment. But you're able to pick yourself back up because you've come to like you said earlier in this podcast, is that you are going to never get back to where you were. You'll never see yourself back at 500 pounds. You will fight. You will pick yourself up tooth and nail to make sure that you stay healthy for your daughter, for you, for your family. And I think that is the most important thing, is that commitment that you made to yourself.
Kicking and screaming, I will not get that bad. I'm telling you, and that's the main thing is like. And I tried telling this to everybody, just like, and I even had I had three New Year's resolutions this year for myself. I want to do more self affirmation. I don't know if if you're familiar with that much, where you actually look in the mirror, you tell yourself like, hey, I'm worthwhile a little bit. Like because I still got the 500-pound mentality a lot of times, and I hide it quite well, especially with the extra skin. It messes with me, like I would actually probably be a very fit person if I got my surgery. But, like I said, like for a while there, it was really bugging me. But I just imagine having that skin filled in with fat again. Like, no way, I had that. I wanted to try some more meditation to calm my brain. I have this monkey brain that goes on all the time where I'm overthinking everything, which, a lot of like very highly conscientious people are like that though. And they, it's just, it's like I talked about before, the inner critic. I want to do the meditation to shut that inner critic up a little more. And then the third one is to start yoga. I've been all about mobility exercises the last year to get my mobility back up, because that was one goal last year I had. But this year I wanted to start yoga, which I've been trying a little bit, but it's just, I don't know, it's just with my schedule right now. I just haven't gotten in the groove yet. And I also want to start trying to run in spring. That's my goals. I always got goals all the time. I'm always doing something more, like even like reading more books and I want to stress to everybody too, one of my main key to successes, I feel, is always constantly educating yourself. Watch the YouTube webinars of like the, Gregor and McDougall or Marley, and listen to the podcasts and read books, and like How Not to Die from Gregor is I've heard is an amazing book, which is that's my next one I'm going to get. I just read the Engine 2 book not too long ago, and I got some Start Solution and all those other ones, and just constantly educate yourself. Like if you got something you want to learn about, say like for instance you're listening to this podcast and you want to learn more about intermittent fasting, get off your butt, get online, or you sit on your butt online on your phone and just and learn about it. Like go on different sites, like what I do is I get like information from everybody. I kind of just make up my own little thing with it. And for the longest time, when I got down to 300 pounds, I did like a whole I kind of created my own little version of all these little diets. I grabbed all the the better points of all of them. Because like the longest time, like I wouldn't even eat legumes because the paleo was telling me they were bad, and now it's like I'm a legume eating fool, you know. And you know, and I thought that at the time was the gospel, and I thought that was what I needed to do. And then after doing it for 6 months, you know, the quick results stalled, and I felt like crap, and I went on to something else. You know?
Can we go over the timeline really quickly, just because I think people are asking as well? So what day did you, like, what year or what month or what day did you decide, okay, I'm at my heaviest and I'm about to make a change? And then what diets did you do? And then when did you, you know, reach certain milestones or goals? And how much time did it take you to achieve your weight now, which is where you are currently?
Okay, I got back up to probably about 515 pounds by age 20. And actually, when I got down under 230, that was the first time I was 230 pounds since I was like in the 7th grade. And I was even like 4 or 5 inches shorter than at the time. So you got so the timeline there, even at 12 or 13, I was this weight and shorter. So, you know, I've always been a chubby kid since I was probably about 7. And like I said, about it would have been about 2000, year 2000. I finally, you know, it was over my high school crush turned me down for like the 1000th time. So I was like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. And I pretty much just portion controlled for my first 100 pounds. Like, you know, I got down to 400 just by like cutting back on how much crap I was eating. And I was literally like going to like McDonald's, getting like a double quarter pounder meal with large fry, large drink, eat it in the parking lot, go to Burger King, get a double Whopper meal. Like literally bounced from like 3 different fast food places all at once, probably consuming 6,000 calories just in like one meal, you know. It was bad. And I got down to 300, and then I got back up. That would have been about 2003. And then by like 2004 or 5, I got back up to 450. And I met my ex-wife in 2007. I got back down to 300 by then. Got back up to 350 by the time we got divorced, and got back up to 400 by the time after the divorce. And then and I was doing pretty much the sugar busters kind of, and then before that, and then I started doing paleo after my divorce in 2010, and then gradually went into keto, and before I went plant-based in 2016, which would have been very end of 2016. And like I said, when I went plant-based in 2016 of December, I went from probably like 290 to like 230 within 7 months, like quick, like, and that was not even portion and nothing. I mean, I just literally was just eating plants pretty much, you know. And that's how quick it went. And I struggled always. Like I had to work my butt off to get under 250. Always. Like I had to literally go to the gym almost every day, very like eating 2,000 calories a day to do what I'm doing right now at like 230, you know. And it was always, and I think they said that my surgery, if I ever get my surgery done, they're only going to take off about 5 pounds of skin, but it's a very crucial 5 pounds of skin, you know. Because I mean, you know, when you expand the skin so much, it's just crazy, you know. But no, like, but it's like I said though, like, and you know, but they're wondering like the timeline of as far as that goes. But like since going plant based, my health has went from like 3 to like 8 or 9 easy. And I want to stress that a lot too. Is like, you know, like my focus now is like not really talking about weight loss as much as it is like more health and wellness, you know, like because I actually thought about changing the name of the page at one time because I'm already kind of shrunken now, so but it just sticks, so that's what I do. But yeah, it's just like I said though, just focus on nutrition, and like everything else like works itself out, and you know, and that's like the takeaway is that right there, you know, because I mean, I don't think many people really understand that. It's
Well,
just it's so powerful.
I think that's so great. Thanks for giving us that timeline. I think one of the great things is that now you're focused on health and wellness, and you got there, and now you're maintaining, and that's, like I said, it's important. Losing weight is one thing, as you did multiple times. You lost weight, then you regained weight, then you lost weight, then you regained weight. But then maintaining after that and keeping your health and your mental clarity, and you're starting to think about all these other great things that have helped you so much in your life now. But I think it's an essential part of it. And losing weight is an important part. Your mental clarity is an important part. Your health is an important part. It's the total package. You got to look in the mirror and be happy with what you see.
And it's because, you know why? Because I consider plant-based not as a diet. The reason I failed so many other times is because I was doing diets. This is my lifestyle here. This is not a diet to me. This is not like some fad thing I'm just going to like, pick up overnight. Like, this is the way we were biologically designed to eat. This is the nutrition and the food that our bodies need. It's not about pleasure, but I love my food. Like, oh my God, there's nothing better than getting home from fasting for 20 hours and digging into some potatoes and beans and some vegetables. Oh my God, it's so good. And then like snacking on pistachios, and I got my smoothie for my dessert at the end of the night. And it's just like, I go to bed with this like big Buddha belly of plant-based nutrition, and it's just great. Like, I wake up feeling great, like I said, and it's fantastic. Like, and I just wish I could just like transport people that are struggling like I was, and just let them like walk in the shoes for a day. Because I, like, the whole time when I was heavy, I dreamed about being this size. I never thought I could get under 250. And like the whole time I would daydream all about it, like, man, my life's going to be so much better when I finally get down to my weight and everything. But like, I never made any real valid effort to really do it. Even my attempts were all, very half cocked, and not even like, it wasn't really that much of an attempt. You got to stop lying to yourself sometimes. You just got to say, you know what, I need to do better. And that's, you can tell yourself over and over and over and over again, like, oh yeah, well, you can make so many, like, there's nobody that lies or makes so many more excuses than you do to yourself. And you have to call out your own BS once in a while and just say, you know what, and hold yourself accountable and say, you know what, my choices and my decisions are causing these issues. It's not my girlfriend that's, being snappy to me. It's not my kid that's driving me nuts. It's not my boss that I can't stand. It's you. You're the one that is responsible for your own happiness, your own health, and your own wellness. And once I finally learned that, and it took so many years, and then it's like, and then like I said too earlier, like learning how to love yourself for once. Because you can beat yourself up every day, and there's so many people that battle with it every day. And like I said, it makes me sad. But at the end of the day, you're the only one that's going to change anything. If you have a good support system, that's even better. But I did this all on my own. Like, there was never, no surgeries, no pills, no powders, no shakes, no stupid, gimmick thing, no wraps, nothing like that. It was just simple eating the way nature intended. And that's everybody's, and all throughout these years, even before I really even knew what plant-based was, from what it is now, it's like, I'm like, just eat real food, eat food the way nature intended, which I thought at the time it also included meat and everything else, and dairy and stuff at the time. But, we've all been to the point where we thought that what we were doing was, good at one point. But it's like pulling the blinders off your eyes a little bit and just looking back and being like, man, you know what? Like, my behavior is actually really destructive.
Yeah, and I think,
and hold yourself accountable. You have to.
I think something you said was so great is that you want to tell other people now, right? Now that you've seen it, you've woke up, you've learned the power of real food, of plants, of whole foods. And now you want to tell other people, because there's a lot of other people in the same situation that you were in that are having a tough time waking up, having a tough time getting through their days, having a tough time looking in the mirror, having a tough time being around their families, or even going through the most mundane of tasks. And I think that you doing this video and coming on this podcast and doing your own page and talking about it and your journey in weight loss, your journey on health, your journey on fasting, all these different things that you're doing and you're learning, because we're all learning. Trust me, I'm learning every day. You're learning every day. Everyone watching this is learning every day. If you're not learning, you're lying to yourself, because we're all learning.
Oh, yeah.
We're not perfect. No one is perfect. We're just people trying to live a better life, a healthier life. So you doing these things, you doing this outreach, you speaking out is helping so many people. You said you want to help one person. Well, guess what? I'm guessing you've helped thousands of people. And that is truly one of the, and you know how it is, it's one of the best feelings you could ever have when you can wake someone up and you can help someone, because we know the power of this. We know this is a new lease on life. We know this is health and happiness beyond any money could ever buy. And that's why we're so passionate about it. And that's why I think it's so wonderful that you're doing this.
And all you got to do is just eat plants. Like, that's all it takes. That is the crazy part of it. And I've even discussed too, like, it's so great now that I know that like my food is like cruelty free and like suffering free, and like there's no, well, I mean, you want to take away, I mean, even when they're plowing the crops, there's going to be little varmints in there, you can't. But I'm saying it's just such more of a sustainable way of living, and you're actually making a difference on the environment. You're not eating that negativity all the time. I've only met one plant-based person in public in Iowa here, and that's like one of my coworkers when I went to day shift. I was blown away. I'm like, holy crap! Like, she knew all about the plant-based doctors and all that stuff and everything. And it gave me hope that, like, wow, there's actually more people out there, because and on these online communities like the Facebook groups and stuff, it's so great, because like even when I'm doing this alone here in Iowa by myself, you got thousands and thousands of people online that you can talk to and have the same issues. Internet is just like, it's making us all lazy, but it's also helping us all out, and like in a lot of ways it's a necessary evil. And I think what you're doing is fantastic as well, because just getting this word out and telling people, hey, like, you don't have to live a life that is that is miserable and unhealthy. You don't have to be fat and sick and miserable every day. You don't have to you don't have to struggle to like walk up a flight of steps.
Yeah.
So many things that like I never thought I would ever take for granted until I finally got got it a healthy way, and just like, I mean, it's like, especially at work, like I can drop something and just bend down and pick it up, and like, hey, I got, my blood's not rushing through my head. I'm not like struggling to get up. I can get down on my hands and knees. I can climb up on a chair now and change a light bulb.
And one of the greatest things is that, I mean, health is the most important thing, without a doubt. I always say health is greater than wealth, but a nice added benefit is that you save a ton of money. I mean, how much money have you saved on your grocery bills or just on your food in general since eating like this?
Oh, I probably only spend $40-50 a week in grocery tops, maybe tops. And I don't even buy in bulk either. I actually buy as I go per week. I don't even do bulk hardly. I'll buy the rice in like 5-pound bags maybe. I don't have a Trader Joe's around here. Like all I got's a Hy-Vee and a Walmart, which you probably don't even know what a Hy-Vee is, but it's just a little grocery store. I live in a small town in Iowa. It's about 30,000 people. So I mean, there's no big city stuff here at all. There's no vegan restaurants. There's no, I can get plant-based options at some restaurants here, but most of the time it's, mom and pop, burger and French fry places. And, but you learn and adapt. You have to adapt in order to you have to adapt out of the standard American diet in order to, not have the lifestyle diseases of the American diet. And that's like, I mean, it's like once you get the veil taken off your head and you actually learn about this stuff and you actually figure out the power behind it, it's nuts. Like, it's like, how could I be so blind, and how could something so powerful be so simple?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's the most simple things that are hardest to figure out. Sometimes it takes the most learning to know that it's just the simplicity of it. I do acting. I've been on television shows and in movies, and I did a lot of training to become an actor and to get on TV and that sort of stuff. And in the course of doing that, you go to all these acting classes, and what you're learning is just to be yourself. It's so simple to be a good actor, but it takes so much work even to figure that out. And you're into analogy, so I use that analogy with eating good. We figured it out, and so many others have now as well. You eat the simplest foods, the real foods, the one ingredients, that banana that's just a banana, that apple that's just an apple, that potato that's just a potato. So simple. It's what we were meant to eat. It's what we were only able to eat before we started processing everything. And you get health results. You lose weight, your skin clears up, your energy goes up. We both had that happen to us. But it's hard.
Sex drive. Sex drive went through the roof, man. It's a game changer there too. And yeah, it's nuts. Like, and it's like I said, it's just so simple, and like it's just such a face palm thing. And I consider myself a very logical person my whole life. And then finally, like, figuring out that, man, like, you just literally have to just eat plants, and you like reverse.
It's pretty crazy, man. It's crazy how easy it is. But like I said, it's not easy for everyone, because one of the great things about online, like you said, is these Facebook communities, these opportunities to be around other people that are like-minded individuals, because a lot of people are living in families or living around friends or neighbors or places that don't have healthy food, that don't have real food. They're serving all that processed food because it's habitual. It's drilled into our schools with the funding from McDonald's and Taco Bell and KFC, impacting our free lunch program, to all these other things, forming these terrible habits at a really young age. So if all you know since you're 4 years old is to eat burgers, French fries, and pizza, it's very hard to change that habit. Think about it. We learn to walk then, we learn to speak then, we learn everything that we use for the rest of our life at that age. And one of those things is eating bad processed food. So changing that habit, breaking that habit, as simple as it may be, is hard, because any change is challenging. Think about it. Just moving down the street is hard, right? Meeting new friends.
Oh, yeah. My kid constantly complains about her school lunch. Her mom won't let her pack her lunch, and she's always complaining. Like she's like, all we get is like a chicken patty and like a brownie and like some green beans and some milk. And it's like, I tell her, like, can't you like talk your mom into, and like, no. And then she's like, and she even tells me too, she told me last week, and she's like, I think when I get older, I want to eat like you do, but since I can't eat 100% like you do, I don't want to do it right now. And I told her straight up then too. I'm like, you know what? But I kind of gave her the dollar analogy there. I'm like, you know what? Every good decision you're making is going to help your health out. And if you're going to have that attitude about giving up just because you can't do something 100%, you might as well just, throw in the towel with your dance. You might as well, I don't want to do that. And it's like, exactly. You got to, you got to want to do it, and you can't do it 100%, and you got to either find a way or just accept that, work within your limitations. And there's a lot of people that they can't even get outside to walk because their knees are so shot, and their back hurts, or they're just literally that immobile. But going out and just walking around the block, or just walking up and down the sidewalk, that's something.
It's something that we take for granted so often, is being able to see, being able to speak, being able to taste, being able to hear, being able to walk. All of these things that we think of as rudimentary, given things that we're just able to do. And for so sorry, go on.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, for so many, even my father, he has multiple sclerosis. He has such a hard time walking. And he's on a plant-based diet. Dr. Swank, who actually was one of Dr. McDougall's mentors, was his doctor. He was a patient of him a long time ago, before a lot of people even got into this plant-based diet and eating for it. He used it as a way of helping with multiple sclerosis. Does it heal it 100%? No. But does it give you a better chance?
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt. And I think that, so I think what you're saying is so true. You see people who can't even walk. Their knees are in so much pain. They're in so much suffering. And we take for granted, we both don't, because we know the power of food. We know the power of being able to wake up and being able to look and being able to have energy, being able to get throughout the course of your day without falling asleep or feeling sick or feeling tired is a blessing, man. It is something that is so powerful, and I'm so appreciative every single day. All the money, all the stress, all the social pressures, all that sort of stuff, it pales in comparison into being healthy and being able to go throughout the course of your day with a smile on your face. And
Yeah.
And that's why we do this. That's why you talk about your story, your success story, and that's why you talk to your daughter, and you're a role model that's positive for her, which is so important. I can't even begin to emphasize the importance of a parental figure or a grandparent that is teaching their kids about eating healthy, because you're going to change their life for a long time, and that is so important.
And I don't want her to ever, it breaks my heart to even think about her ever falling in the same footsteps I did. I just know the quality of life back in the day is just so terrible. Like I was like literally didn't even care about, was like, I would have, like when I was about 25, I would have like heart palpitations. There have been some times I'm just like, just take it, just take me. Like, I'm tired of feeling like crap. And I'm 40 now and in the best shape of my life and the best health of my life. And I'm so glad that I didn't give up, and I'm so glad I like actually kicked myself in the butt enough times to where I finally got out of the funk, and another takeaway from it is just like, and I know this sounds so cliche, but if I can do it, like literally almost anybody can, because like I was a lost cause for so many years. And I'm so thankful now just to have like a roof over my head, like a warm roof, food in my belly, and like people around me that I love, and all the rest of that crap doesn't even, all the wealth and riches and all that stuff. The only thing I wish maybe is I could maybe, raise the funding to get my surgery sometime. That's one of those fires that's on the pot, it's going to be a while, and maybe some kind of crowdfunding down the road. I don't know, but either or though, I'm still out there spreading the gospel of plant-based eating and trying to help people. And at the end of the day, that's what's worthwhile. Like my job is not very rewarding because I make doors for rich people. It's a good physical job, but on my breaks, I'm returning messages, I'm posting. Sometimes I just post dumb memes because there's only so much I've talked about the same stuff a lot for like the last 5 years. So I'm kind of struggling to get some content out there, and I'm gone 12 hours a day, but I try to at least put myself out there like, hey, I'm here and I'm alive and I'm just a busy guy.
Can you do something for us? Can you tell us the Facebook page to follow? I'm gonna say at the beginning of this podcast too, if you're listening on iTunes or on Spotify or Google Play. But can you just reinforce where we can stay with you after this? Because I think we're all enjoying your journey. I think we're all enjoying your positivity and your outlook on this. So can you give us the?
I can't see the comments over here from people, so I'm gonna have to watch it probably later to see what everybody's saying. But Incredible Shrinking Bearded Man is the Facebook page. That's the one I'm most active on. I do have a YouTube channel called The Incredible Shrinking Bearded Man, and then there's Instagram, which is Incredible Shrinking Bearded Man, because they wouldn't let me have the in front of it, and then that's about it really. And I can get messaged on either or. Like I'm always game for within my means and of having time to answer questions for people. It kind of gets redundant to a point sometimes because I get the same questions all the time, which I try to at least send you a link of something. Like if I don't have time to type it out, I try to at least send a copy of like a link or something to help you out or something, So, I'm like I said, I'm a part-time dad and a full-time employee of I'm gone 60 hours a week. So, but like I said, though, I'm trying to do as much as I can for people. So don't hesitate to say hi or or whatever. I'm all game for helping others out and not I don't ask anything from it. I'm actually debating on writing a book here after a while. It's just having the time to do it's been the issue. But I at least want to do like a possible ebook to maybe promote, to maybe do like a fundraising for the surgery at least maybe or something. That might be on the fire after a while, but really a lot of my time is just spent everyday life, being a dad and working and collecting income and sleeping and
Well, so that's the Incredible Shrinking Beard Man, right? That's your Incredible Shrinking Beard Man? Bearded man. The Incredible Shrinking Bearded Man. And I think you.
It's kind of like the old Lily Tomlin movies where I got the name from, because that was the Incredible Shrinking Woman. And I was struggling to come up with a name, and that's what I came up with. And I've often thought about changing it over the last 5 years, and everybody seems to like it and seems to think it's catchy. So that's what I'm going with.
Awesome, man. Well, I think it's incredible. Your journey. I think incredible is the perfect word to describe it. And I think it's incredible what you're doing after your journey, which is just as important as your journey itself. And that is reaching out and helping other people, spending your time on your personal time to help others that are in a situation similar to yours, that are looking for hope in a place that they might think that it's hopeless. Some people think that it's impossible, and some people think that there is no chance and there's no way, that they're just stuck with that. That's the given set of circumstances that they're living with. And that's not true. There is hope. There is the ability to change your life. There is the ability to turn things around. And there is the ability to do what you did, be the incredible shrinking bearded man. And so thank you for doing that.
Yeah, there is always hope, and that's like I said, that's one thing I always got stressed, man. Like I felt like I was rock bottom like so many times. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, and it sounds cliche, but we can't really appreciate the light unless we get in the dark every once in a while. I'm a firm believer in that too. You always got to have balance. There's always got to be the positive and the negative to create the neutral. You know what I mean? And like a lot of people are like, "Oh man, that must have been hell being 500 pounds," and I'm like, I'm probably a stronger person now because of all that.
Absolutely.
And there is hope for people to change their lives. Like, it's never too late. Like, there's been so many things I've seen online where people just they literally like they change their life around even at like 60.
Yep.
I mean, you might not be able to get back to 100%, but running on at 65% is way better than 20.
Yeah.
And I think any improvement anybody can make to their health is a step in the right direction, even if it's just like something as trivial as like adding more vegetables to your meals. It's something. Your body. Most people out there are walking food junkies looking for their next fix, and any step in the right direction is a positive one. I don't want anybody to think that they have to be like all like the all or nothing mentality. It's so important just to one day at a time.
Yep. Doesn't matter if you're 5 years old, 25 years old, 55 years old, 75 years old, 95 years old, or 105 years old. There's always the opportunity to eat healthier and live a healthier, better life. It doesn't matter. You can turn this around at any time, at any day, at any moment. And I think people need to realize that. Don't think about the past and what you did and what you should have done. Think about what you're going to do, and that's going to give you the best results, the best peace of mind. Because if you just harp on the past all the time, learn from the past. Like you're saying, you learned. You were happy that you had. I mean, obviously not happy, but that experience made you the man that you are today. You wouldn't be the guy sitting in front of me talking to me right now if you didn't go through those enduring dark days. But sometimes you have to be in the dark to see the light. You're right. My mom always told me, you don't know good unless there was bad, right? What would be good if there wasn't bad? What would be fun if there wasn't something that was boring? It's so important that you understand that you're going to learn from this, you're going to grow from this, and it's going to make you a better all-around person. And we can see it with you. You're a good guy. You're humble. You're happy to be where you are, and a lot of that comes from overcoming trials and tribulations. Like, there's nothing more challenging than when you got bad health. I see it. It humbles you. It's like when you go down in a stream and you hit a bunch of rocks. It might be rough getting there, but it smooths you up, and it makes you an honest, humble person going through those tough times.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a ride, man. But I'm happy where I'm at right now. I wouldn't change a thing nowadays.
Yeah.
It's and I hopefully maybe somebody can be inspired and then go inspire somebody else to.
I guarantee you, I'm seeing all the messages coming in here. We're getting thousands of messages. I'm telling you, man, you are inspiring people, and you will continue to inspire people. And I wish you the best. I gotta get out of here, but thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah.
And
yeah, thanks a lot, man, for having me. It's by far, this has been the most enjoyable podcast kind of situation I've had so far. So this is my third one. So, it's been very good, man. I'm gonna pimp you out. I'm gonna pimp you out on the page.
Damn it, I'm gonna help you out as much as I possibly can. And if I get a national TV show, I'm gonna get you that surgery, man. I'm gonna help you as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And
Dude, that'd be
And
awesome.
seriously,
Just don't wait till I'm 70.
all right,
Don't wait till
I'll
I'm
try.
70, man.
We got to tell the TV networks that, man. They got to give me a show so I can help more people like you and others out there. But seriously, man, I'm gonna do what I can. I promise. I'm dead serious. I think you're doing such a wonderful job, and I'll help you. I'll help you spread the message. We're all in this together. We got a huge community of people out there just like us, trying to spread the word, trying to help others. It's gonna take a team. It's gonna take a whole huge amount of people, because collectively we still can't compete with the amount of money that these corporations, these fast food restaurants have. So it's gonna take a lot of us.
The thing is, though, is we are winning, though. We are winning slowly.
We are.
You can just tell by all these, these companies, these like meat companies making plant-based, meat substitutes. We're winning a little bit at a time.
Look,
it's slow
Canada
victory.
just gave us a plate full of unprocessed food and to only drink water. That is a win, man. It's happening. The government's changing. Doctors are changing. And together we're making a positive change that's going to impact people in the most amazing way. And eventually me and you won't even have to do these anymore, because everyone's going to be like, what are they talking about? Of course you eat real food, man. That's so simple. That makes sense. Why would you eat Cheetos? That's crazy.
They were talking about the doctors prescribing cigarettes for people back in the 50s and 60s and stuff, and that was just the standard. Like, hopefully this becomes the standard eventually, because it's just.
I am 100% sure. I guarantee you, I will mark it on everything that in 50 years, less than 50 years, 25 years, we're going to look back and say, what were we doing? What were we eating for the environment, for the animals, and our health? But I think for our health, we're definitely going to be saying that. What in the world were we doing? Why were we eating that food? I think there's going to be taxes. I think there's going to be all sorts of things that come out to help people, to get them healthy again, because people dying younger than they used to die ever before is not acceptable. People being sick and on 15 to 16 medication being the norm when you're 60 years old is not acceptable. People suffering from type 2 diabetes is not acceptable. People being suffering from cancers and heart disease that are preventable is not acceptable. It's not acceptable to be sick in a dark bed alone with no money to afford to help themselves. And we're going to change that. And people are going to look back and they're going to say, well, that was obvious. What were we doing? Just like we're talking about right now, people promoting cigarettes, doctors recommending cigarette brands as being a healthy alternative, Coca-Cola making you skinny. We now know those all to be falsehoods, but at the time they were taken as the word. So I know. It's not I hope, I pray, I want. I know for a fact this is happening. It's already started, and it's just going to get better and better as we go. So we'll do this, man.
And again, all it takes is just to eat plants.
All right, well, I got to get out of here. Thank you so much, man. Have a wonderful night. Tell your daughter I said hi. Keep being an amazing role model for her, please. I think that's so essential.
You too, man. You too. Yeah, definitely keep in touch, man.
We will.